Hello there, this is Donald Reed. This is a podcast on investment tips again. This is from Charlie Munger, Complete Investor. Okay, so according to Charlie Munger, there is a psychology to investing. The psychology of human misjudgment. Humans have developed simple rules of thumb called heuristics, which enable them to efficiently make decisions. Heuristics are essential. Without them, it could be impossible to make the decisions required to get through a normal day. They allow people to cope with information and computation overload and to deal with risk, uncertainty, and ignorance. Unfortunately, these heuristics can sometimes result in tendencies to do certain things that are dysfunctional. Of course, having a tendency is not destiny. That people will tend to do something does not mean that they will also do so, that they cannot learn to overcome the tendency, or that all people have the same tendency. Everyone, included Munger, must be careful not to fall prey to certain, often dysfunctional tendencies. Particularly in the context of human activities that were not a part of most of our evolutionary past as a species, just as investing, heuristics can produce one boneheaded mistake after another. Professor Richard Zeckenheiser, I hope I pronounced that right, who Munger admires greatly for his decision-making process when playing bridge and as an investor, wrote, Individuals tend to extrapolate heuristics from the situations where they make sense to those where they do not. Bias, from the non-mathematical nature of the human brain in its natural state as it deals with probabilities, employing crude heuristics, and is often misled. Why does this happen? James Montier pointed out. The simple truth is that we aren't adapted to face the world as it is today. We evolved in a very different environment, and it's that ancestral, evolutionary environment that governs the way in which we think and feel. We can learn to push our minds into alternative ways of thinking, but it isn't easy, as we have to overcome the limits to learning posed by self-discipline. In addition, we need to practice the reframing of data into more evolutionary, familiar forms if we are to process it correctly. Munger believes that people tend to ignore or deny the faults of people they love, and also tend to distort facts to calculate that love. He believes we are more influenced by people we like, and perhaps more importantly by people who genuinely like us. There is obviously positive aspects to this tendency for society, but they rarely have a place in making investment decisions. You may like or even love your friend or relative, but that does not mean that you should trust him or her with your money. Loaning money to relatives is dangerous. It is usually a far better idea to simply give away money to needy friends and relatives, or if you do make a loan, to never expect it back. Relatives and friends in receipt of your money as a loan too often acquire a short-term and fuzzy selective memory. Another example of this tendency arises when people fall in love with a company and make investment mistakes about that company as a result of that love. My 2 cents, been there, done that, and paid the price for it. I mean the family member, relative part. Even if you love your employer, it is very risky to have too much of your savings in one stock of a single company. Doubt avoidance tendency. The confidence of entrepreneurs bolstered by doubt avoidance tendency creates positive benefits for society by generating positivity and genuine growth in the economy. Even if legions of entrepreneurs may fail, Nassim Talbot put it this way: Most of you will fail, disrespected, impoverished, but we are grateful for the risks you are taking and the sacrifices you're making for the sake of the economic growth of the planet and pulling others out of poverty. You are a source of our anti-fragility. Oh, jeez. I think it's pronounced anti-fragility. I don't know, it's a little chuckle. Our nations thank you. I'm sure that most of us that are entrepreneurs don't want to hear that. Like, I don't want to hear that. Just kind of makes me feel like, what? Okay. I like to think that we all can be successful at being an entrepreneur. That's just more positive for me. Inconsistency, avoidance tendency. The brain of man conserves programming spaces by being reluctant to change. Charlie Munger. People are reluctant to change even when they have been given new information that conflicts with what they already believe. Inconsistency avoidance tendency is another often useful heuristic because starting each day with a fresh mind about everything requires too much processing power. Unfortunately, as is the case with every heuristic that is mostly helpful, can sometimes be harmful. The adverse effects of this tendency can be made worse when it appears in combination with the previously discussed doubt-avoiding tendency. This all might sound a little bit heady, but if it makes you stick to better investment decisions and better methods of investments, it's all worth it. Curiosity tendency. Curiosity can provide both fun and wisdom and occasionally trouble. Charlie Munger. Experience tends to confirm a long-held notion that being prepared on a few occasions in a lifetime to act promptly in scale and doing some simple and logical thing will often dramatically improve the financial results of that lifetime. In other words, when you see something that goes by Warren Buffett's and Charlie Munger's investment strategy, don't be timid, go for it. Envy, jealousy, tendency. A member of a species designed through evolutionary process to want often scarce food is going to be driven strongly toward getting food when it first sees food. And this is going to occur often and tend to create some conflict when the food is seen in the possession of another member of the same species. This is probably the evolutionary origin of the envy, jealous tendency that lies so deep in human nature. Anyways, Charlie Munger thinks having a psychology type of viewing to your investments and strategies helps you be a better investor. Anyways, I think I'm going to stop there. So I've been reading this book. It's called Charlie Munger, Complete Investor, and I haven't finished it yet, but I'm almost finished it. But I think it's a good read, so if you want to pick it up yourself. But I think I'm going to stop there and do some more of this later. Thanks. Have a good day. And Merry Christmas.